The full moon bathed the kingdom of Oduwa in a silvery glow, its light falling softly on the royal palace. Inside, Princess Ene sat in her chambers, staring at the ornate mirror on her vanity. Her beauty was legendary. Her skin, the color of the richest mahogany, glowed like the setting sun, and her eyes, deep and enchanting, held secrets she dared not share. Yet, tonight, as on many nights, her beauty was overshadowed by the weight of her reality. A sudden gust of wind swept through the room. Extinguishing the oil lamp, Ene froze, her heart pounding. She knew what was coming. "Why do you fight me, Ene?" A low, otherworldly voice echoed through the darkness. Her breath hitched as she turned toward the shadows. There, standing tall and cloaked in darkness, was the silhouette of a man. His eyes glimmered like mountain gold. His presence suffocating, yet intoxicating. "You are mine," he continued, his voice both a command and a promise. Tears streamed down Ene's face as she whispered, "Leave me alone." But the figure stepped closer, his voice softening. "You belong to me, Ene. No one else can have you. Do not forget that." As suddenly as he appeared, the figure vanished, leaving the room silent except for Ene's raged breathing. She collapsed onto the floor, trembling, her despair consuming her. She knew she could not tell anyone, not her parents, not the palace priest. They would never understand. It all started in the ancient kingdom of Oduwa, nestled between vast hills and dense forests. There lived a princess named Ene, known for her radiant beauty and grace. Ene was adored by her people and admired by suitors far and wide. Yet, despite her alluring charm and royal heritage, no man who courted her ever stayed. They all left, their hearts heavy with confusion and sorrow. Whispers filled the kingdom. Some said she was cursed, others claimed she was too proud to love, but none knew the truth except Ene herself. Ene's nights were not her own. In the stillness of the dark, a shadowy presence would come to her, a figure as intangible as mist, yet as real as flesh. It was her spiritual husband, a being from the spirit realm who claimed dominion over her. He haunted her dreams, pulling her into a world where his touch was intoxicating and his voice a lullaby that drowned her protest. He declared his love and vowed no mortal man would ever replace him. Ene fought to resist him, but the bond was unyielding, woven into the very fabric of her being. When she awoke, she would feel drained, her heart heavy with despair. Each time she tried to forge a connection with a suitor, the spiritual husband would manifest, bringing chaos into her relationships, whispering doubt into the minds of her lovers, sowing discord, or even visiting them in their dreams as a warning. Ene's torment began years ago. On the eve of her 16th birthday, she had dreamt of a man, tall, handsome and otherworldly, who declared her his wife. At first, it felt like a fantasy, an innocent dream, but as the years passed, the man became more possessive. He visited her more frequent, and his jealousy more violent. Every suitor who came to court Ene left mysteriously, their affections abruptly severed or their lives ruined. Word spread through Oduwa that Princess Ene was cursed. Rumors flourished, and the once vibrant palace grew quiet. Suitors stopped coming, and Ene became a prisoner of her own secret. The breaking point came on the day Ene was to wed Prince Oba, a valiant warrior from a neighboring kingdom. The entire kingdom rejoiced, believing this union would bring peace and prosperity. But on the eve of their wedding, Oba fled the palace in terror, claiming he had seen a shadowy figure hovering over Ene's bed, eyes glowing like embers in the night. The shame was unbearable. Ene withdrew into herself, her once vibrant spirit dimmed by the weight of her secret. Loneliness became her closest companion, and she vowed never to open her heart again. But fate had other plans. One evening, Ene's best friend, Pokwa, arrived unannounced at the palace. Pokwa, a fairy and determined woman, had grown up with Ene and knew her better than anyone. Seeing Ene's hollow eyes and sucking dominion, she demanded to know what was wrong. At first, Ene hesitated, but under Pokwa's unwavering gaze, the truth spilled out like a torrent. Pokwa listened in silence, her expression a mix of shock and resolve. When Ene finished, Pokwa stood and said, "This is not your destiny, Ene. We will fight this together." Thus began their journey. Pokwa sought the counsel of her mother, who revealed that spiritual marriages were rare but not unheard of. Such bonds are powerful, often forged by ancient agreements or curses. Breaking them requires great courage and sacrifice, her mother warned. Their search led them to a distant village of Ogunaya, home to a well-known seer named Baba Nze. The journey was treacherous, filled with dense forests and perilous rivers. But Pokwa's unwavering resolve gave Ene the strength to press on. When they reached Baba Nze, the old man greeted them with knowing eyes. "You carry the mark of the spirit world, Princess Ene," he said. "This spirit has claimed you because of an agreement made long before your birth." "What agreement?" Ene asked, her voice barely over a whisper. "Your grandmother once sought the help of a river deity to save your father's life. In exchange, she promised the deity her firstborn granddaughter as a bride." Ene's heart sank. She had been ensnared by a depth she never knew existed. To break the bond, Baba Nze explained, Ene would have to confront the spirit in its domain, the river where the agreement was made. There she would renounce the union and reclaim her freedom. The night of the ritual was dark and foreboding. Ene stood by the river bank, her hands trembling as she clutched a talisman Baba Nze had given her. Pokwa stood beside her, a silent pillar of support. The water began to churn violently, and the spirit emerged, more terrifying than ever. "You dare to defy me, Ene?" you growled. "I am not yours," Ene shouted, her voice strong despite her fear. "I renounce you and this bond." The spirit longed at her, but the talisman in her hand began to glow, forming a barrier of light. Baba Nze chanted from the river bank, his voice commanding and powerful. The battle was fierce, but as dawn broke, the spirit let out a final anguished cry before dissolving into the river. Ene collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in years, she felt light, as though a great weight had been lifted. "You are free," Pokwa said, her voice filled with relief. Ene returned to Uduwa, a changed woman. Though the scars of her ordeal remained, she was no longer afraid to love or hope. Her courage inspired the kingdom, and her bond with Pokwa became the stuff of legends. The tale of Princess Ene and her spiritual husband was told for generations, a reminder of the power of friendship, the strength of the human spirit, and the importance of confronting one's demons, no matter how fearsome they may seem.